Grand Rising, and we're live again. So I'd like to say Grand Rising to Her Royal Majesty, Queen Romana Digelo this AM. Grand Rising to Her Excellency, Darlene Ondi, who is our press secretary and our acting chief of staff. And grand IM to everyone that is present here and watching online. Thank you for being here. And today is July 29. It's a Monday, and it's a beautiful day in the Kingdom of Canada. Sunny and beautiful. We are alive. We are always have been alive. And I have been corrected by Her Royal Majesty that I always said, it's a great time to be alive. And she corrected me and said that we have always been alive. So, and that could be a topic for another session. So just to let you know that I am Her Excellency Wendy Ann Charlton. I am your host for the Ministers of the Kingdom of Canada, and I am honored and pleased to be here today. And I also have 3 ministers with me, deputy ministers and a minister. And it's a great privilege to be a minister, but with a great privilege comes a great responsibility to you, the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada and the IMs around the world. And welcome. So I'd like to say welcome to the VIPs of the VIPs. Those are our children, and they are very important to us because they are our future. And also to our ancestors that have helped us come to this point in time as we are alive in this era and under the timeline of Her Royal Majesty, Queen Romana Digelo. So welcome to the honored guests that are watching online. We have heads of state, presidents, prime ministers, crown princes, crown princesses, majesties, kings and queens, emperors and empresses. And welcome to all the 7 continents of North and South America. We have Africa, Asia, Australia, Eurasia, the Middle East, and Antarctica. Welcome to all the ministers, and welcome to the provincial and city coordinators. And today it is my privilege to introduce myself and the minister and deputy ministers that are with me. Today will be the day that I will redo my oath and my to-do list in front of the IMs of the world and the Kingdom of Canada. So welcome to Her Excellency Joanna Rucci, who is the Deputy Minister of Suppressed Technology. Welcome to Her Excellency Gail Magarrey, who is our Deputy Minister of International Trade. And welcome to our Minister, Paul Derrick Jancke, who is our Minister of Natural Resources. So with that, I will redo my oath, and I have some very important things to say. I also have a very important decree that has been just issued on the 25th that I would like to share with all of the IMs, and I will share that at the end, but I will do my oath. And I have everything in front of me, and sorry I'm taking a little bit time here. I think I'm going to switch over and I'm going to do the royal decree until I have my oath in front of me. Thank you for bearing with me. So this is the most exciting royal decree that has been issued, I think, because I know that all the IAMs around the world and in the Kingdom of Canada have been asking, when are we getting med beds? So I will read this in the total entirety. Her Majesty, I am Queen Romana of the Kingdom of Canada, July 23, 2024, in the Kingdom of Canada. Notice to one is notice to all. This is the Royal Decree 0000000235. All of these royal decrees are under www.thekingdomofcanada.ca. You can find them on that website, and they are all under natural law. 1. The Kingdom of Canada's Armed Forces. 2. The Kingdom of Canada's Special Forces. 3. The Kingdom of Canada's Navy. 4. The Kingdom of Canada's Space Force. 5. The Kingdom of Canada's Special Ops. 6. We the People of the Kingdom of Canada. 7. Bureau/Ministry of Natural Resources of the Kingdom of Canada. 8. Bureau/Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Canada. 9. Bureau/Ministry of National Treasury of the Kingdom of Canada. 10. Bureau/Ministry of Oil and Gas of the Kingdom of Canada. 11. Bureau/Ministry of National Defense of the Kingdom of Canada. 12. Global Allied Special Forces in the Kingdom of Canada. 13. Bureau/Ministry of Finance of the Kingdom of Canada. 14. The Supreme Court and Royal Court of the Kingdom of Canada under natural law. Urgent and urgent. Safety, security, and sovereignty of the Kingdom of Canada. A. Nationalization of all hospitals in the Kingdom of Canada. B. Free of charge access and usage of med beds, in brackets, celestial healing chambers, in the Kingdom of Canada, free to all Kingdom of Canada nationals only. C. Access and usage of med beds in the Kingdom of Canada is for Canadian nationals only. D. Funding of the med beds or celestial chambers comes directly from the Ministry of Well, and in brackets health, and I am the Minister of Well. I am Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Dijlo, Commander-in-Chief, President, National Indigenous Chief and Queen of the Kingdom of Canada, hereby issue this royal decree dated today, July 23, 2024, to all Kingdom of Canada and Global Special Allied Forces and respective ministries to action forthwith this royal decree as specified herein natural law. 1. Forthwith, all hospitals in the Kingdom of Canada are hereby nationalized, effective immediately, inclusive any and all private and semi-private hospitals / private healthcare facilities in the Kingdom of Canada. 2. Forthwith, all hospitals, inclusive any and all private or semi-private hospitals, private healthcare facilities in the Kingdom of Canada are to A. Undergo independent forensic financial audits. B. Dissolve all of its boards and executive boards. C. dissolve all of its foundations. D, dissolve all of its executive management, inclusive middle management, and management support staff are effectively defunded. Her Majesty, I am Queen Romana of the Kingdom of Canada. 3, forthwith, all hospital buildings and facilities are to be exclusively used for the med beds, in brackets, celestial healing chambers, funded by we the people across the Kingdom of Canada. Refer to the Royal Decree med beds, in brackets, celestial healing chambers, funding released by Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Digital. 4, forthwith, all hospital personnel, doctors, nurses, etc., who have received training from the medical school system previously, also known as the Rockefeller UN educational system, are prohibited from working in any and all med bed, in brackets, celestial healing chamber facilities until they have been trained on the new med beds, celestial healing chamber technologies. 5, forthwith, medical school system education and training, also known as the Rockefeller United Nations Education System, pharmaceutical medical credentials are null and void and prohibited from being used as the basis for hiring or recruiting or retraining of any med bed, celestial healing chamber facility personnel. 6, forthwith, access and usage of the med beds or the celestial healing chambers are free of charge to all Canadian nationals only in the Kingdom of Canada. 7, forthwith, access to and usage of med beds are to be deployed and dispensed based on the most critical, which will be given priority to the least critical stage, the least priority, regardless of age and location. 8, forthwith, action the above directives and complete full transition from pharmaceutical systems to med beds, celestial healing chambers systems in place and operation at all Kingdom of Canada hospitals on or before November the 5th, 2024. Violators of this royal decree shall be charged with economic sabotage, treason, high treason, artificial creation of famine, financial fraud, corruption, bribery, murder, and money laundering. This royal decree is effective immediately, and so it is. Peace and prosperity and love. Politics zero, religion zero. Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Digital, Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government, Head of State, President, National Indigenous Chief, and Queen of the Kingdom of Canada. Where we go one, we go all. So that was the royal decree on the med beds, and I am sure that the IAMs are really excited about that. And with that, I am going to redo my oath because I will make sure as the Minister of Well that these will be carried out in all of the hospital facilities and whatever facilities that are listed in the royal decree to bring about this in our new era that is happening right now in Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana's timeline. I am Her Excellency Wendy and Charlton. Swear by the Grand Master Creator to be loyal to the Kingdom of Canada's nationals, the Kingdom of Canada, and Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Digiolo, not to divulge any of the state's secrets, to maintain its interests and regulations internally and externally, and to perform my duties with honor, honesty, integrity, and sincerity. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. So I have just repeated my oath, and I welcome the deputy ministers and minister if there's anything that you would like to say at this point in time about the med beds.
Well, I don't know if you would like me to wait until you're finished. I do have some things I'd like to talk about.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You could wait until I'm finished.
Because you can't stop me once I start going.
No, and I just wanted to talk about my to-do list, and also to let the IMs know of the system, what it was before, and the system that we're in right now. And we welcome any comments or questions. And as I speak to this, I would like you to ask me any questions, seeing that I have been in the system for 50 years, so I'm not going to date myself, but I just let you know that.
I just want to say, Wendy, that it's very exciting because we've been talking about the med beds forever. People didn't believe us that these med beds were real. And here we are.
And here we are. So, any other comments?
Yeah, and as the Natural Resources Minister, the med beds, to construct them, we need to get the resources from our natural resources to build these med beds. So Kingdom of Canada itself has played a big part in providing the rare earth minerals to create those med beds for everybody.
So I'm not exactly sure about the minerals and the materials that are needed. And I think that you've done a little bit of research on that.
Indeed. Yes.
Okay. So with that, I'm just going to speak about the old system for a bit here. And just to let everyone know about the to-do list that I do have, is that it's to cause no harm to the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada, and that every facility that we do have as the old system, the hospitals, the health units, and that we will be reconstructing and adding the med beds in. There's going to be free transportation for each and every one. And I know that in some of the conversations that the IMs have brought forward is that, so what if we live way up north and there's only 3 or 4 people in our little community? It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be left behind. We are converting our ambulances into medbed centers that will be mobile. No one will have to worry about transportation. No one will have to worry about funds. No one will have to worry about going alone, because there will be a companion provided for each and every IM that will travel to the medbed centers. And it will be a triage where the most serious will be entering the med beds first, down to the least serious. So we will be having 6-lane highways. One of those lanes will be designated for the ambulances. So anything that would happen, there is no time loss. An ambulance equipped with a med bed will be allowed on that one lane in the 6-lane highway. And everyone has access to a med bed. Every Canadian national family will have access to a med bed. A med bed will cure, not prolong your problems that you're having with either what they call, if there's no way that they can diagnose it, it can't be a disease. It's just something that needs to be corrected in your body, because our bodies have been compromised over the years with different medications that we have received for our visits to our regular doctors. And most of us have all had vaccinations. So that will take care of all of that, and we will be restored to our original DNA, which we are actually a med bed ourselves, because we can actually cure ourselves, because we will have the knowledge of what we need to do to cure ourselves with nutrition. Most important would be nutrition and clean drinking water, which we all have to buy bottled water now, because with the abundance of water in the Kingdom of Canada, I don't see why we have to buy it, but that is what we have to do right now. So with that being said, I'd like to go back to the early days when I graduated as a nurse, and we looked at the whole patient, and it was a holistic. We looked at their spiritual, we looked at their physical, we looked at their mental, we looked at their nutritional, we looked at every aspect in their life, their family, their children, and we worked around that to make their stay in our hospitals as pleasant and as short as we could possibly make it, to restore them to a state of well. And as the years went by, the Rockefeller medical system changed everything, where the patient was just another number, and how much money could they make off of this patient, and send them out, which they would probably be on medications for the rest of their life, because every one that they took led to another and led to another. So for example, the pharmaceutical took over the natural. We would have natural growing plants that, as our elders helped us learn about plants and healing ourselves, it was taken away because the pharmaceutical drugs were supposed to be superior. But what the pharmaceutical did was take I give you an example of ivermectin, which is in our soil. So you would take the ivermectin, take it out, and use pharmaceutical products along with it. And because it was a patent, they could use it to sell it as their product, and we paid money for something that was natural turned into a pharmaceutical. So the ivermectin was actually turned into what we know today as ivermectin, which, if you look at the animals in the wild as they walk around and they eat the grass, they are getting a ivermectin from the soil into the grass, into the forest, and that's why they walk around and they're in perfect health. And as we go along, the strong survive, and there are always things that could happen, but most of the time it's because they are in the wild and they are using the ivermectin to keep out most of the anything that would cause harm to their body. So, and another thing I could talk about is digitalis, which is a beautiful drug that they concocted out of foxglove. Foxglove is a beautiful little flower, and it's you wouldn't want your animals or anything to eat it, because they take this flower and they mix it up with their pharmaceutical products, and they actually use petroleum and turned it into a medication, which is now called a digitalis, and it is still used, and it's a heart drug. So they take the natural, they change it all up, they put a patent on it, and then they sell it back to us, and we think that it's better than natural. So coming up through that part where we used a natural healing, and it got turned over into the Rockefeller system, where they imposed their drugs and modalities and whatever they used with us, with causing cancer from different things, which some of us know that cancer is caused from parasites. With the treatments of cancer, we back in the I'm not sure quite how long ago it was, but the Terry Fox run every year is Terry Fox had cancer, and he started over in Ontario and was running across the country and got as far as Thunder Bay, and his cancer returned again. But every year since then, which has probably been 42 to 43 years ago, they have a Terry Fox cancer run, and the funds that come from that are supposed to go into cancer research. So if you really look at it, you can see 43 years of funding. Where did it go to? Where did this money go to? What did they do with the money? Why don't we have a cure? So this leads us into med beds cure. The rest of this drug and pharmaceutical things, they just make you a customer for life and make money off of you. So that's how it came up through into the 90s, and then it came up into what we have now, where you're just a number. You go in, you come out, you're not cured, you're just put on more medications, more drugs, and you're really not educated on what you could do for yourself naturally, because that is one of the forbidden things. When you work in a hospital facility as a nurse, you are not allowed to bring in the natural things that we could use to help ourselves, because then you could be written up and reprimanded, and your job is gone.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happens. And I know that you agree with me, because we've been down that road.
Yeah, if you suggest any natural remedy to a patient, it's an automatic reason for dismissal. So
And I know that's true.
you had to follow the protocol that was set forth by the doctors, and the nurses followed those orders. And even if the patient brought up any natural medications, you weren't allowed to talk or give your input on anything natural remedy.
No, and when they were admitted and you went through everything, if they were on a natural remedy, you had to document it, but you couldn't say, oh yes, this is good for you, this is not good for you. And you would know that the doctor would probably tell them, well, it's not very effective, and you're just wasting your money.
And I think it was even in the hiring process, you were told that was, you had to implement that you weren't allowed to, if the patient brought up natural remedies, that you just had to, you could hear them out, but you couldn't make any suggestions or recommendations.
And that's absolutely true. I've witnessed it myself. I've been told myself that I can't recommend special teas or things to help, breathing in that, because I worked in scope. So I was told you can't do that. So we followed that, and we did that to keep our jobs, right? But now, with us changing over to the med beds, which are the cure, how many of these doctors and nurses that were under the Rockefeller system will be able to keep their jobs? None,
Mhm.
unless they retrain. But if they retrain, how much did they recommend that our IMs took the jab?
Mhm. They will be held accountable.
So if they're held accountable,
Mhm.
they won't be able to retrain.
That's right. That's correct.
And all of those papers and whatever they have is worth nothing
They will be looking for different careers.
if they are not charged.
That's right. That's correct.
And because I know that there was all of the doctors in British Columbia, for sure, I know that were allowed a 15-minute phone call to all of their patients to discuss the advantages of taking the vaccination, and that allowed them $67.50 for that 15-minute phone call. So if you did 4 of them in your lunch break, you're looking at $250 just to try and convince your patients that they needed to take it. And when we look at some of our IMs, they think that their doctor knows it all and that they should believe. So how many of them got taken down the path, which is very sad. But I'm sure that there's going to be accountability,
Mhm.
and I know that the med beds are going to be a change for everyone. So with that, I'm not going to dwell too much on the old system, because the old system is gone. We're in the new era, and now we are in the med bed era, and I'm looking forward to November the 5th.
Mhm.
And I will introduce you again so that maybe you would like to talk about the med beds.
Certainly, yes. I would love to talk about the med beds. So thank you very much for bringing up the med beds. They are, without a doubt, the most eagerly anticipated of all suppressed technology. It's the thing that we're asked about more often than anything else. And it sounds like the doctors and nurses are already being trained in the operation of the med beds, the healing chambers. And that is those who haven't been fully indoctrinated, those who've broken free of that Rockefeller indoctrination. And as per Greenermanna's royal decree, I believe it's 235, yes, the med beds will be rolled out on or before November 5th, 2024. What a day to celebrate. We always remember the 5th of November, not for some plot, but for our beloved Queen Romanna's Earth Day. So it's an exciting day all around the kingdom. I just wanted to mention the computer operating system for the med beds will be made in Canada and administered in Canada. And there will be no tolerance whatsoever for the conglomerate corporations. That kind of leads us into, we will be discussing CrowdStrike. I'm sure everybody's heard of this, the cybersecurity firm who caused absolute havoc deploying a faulty update to computers running Microsoft Windows. And one would have to ask what a company like Microsoft even positioned themselves in such a vulnerable spot as to be taken advantage of, or being encouraging the use of this CrowdStrike. Who is behind CrowdStrike anyway? And who is behind Microsoft for that matter? You know, we need to look a little deeper into what actually happened there. CrowdStrike like I said, created absolute havoc in all around the world in so many different industries. And I think that the other ministers will be discussing that at length. So I'll just gloss over that right now. But we have to remember, when we're doing business in the Kingdom of Canada, we have to be very careful and always ask ourselves, is this in the best interest of we the people of the Kingdom of Canada, and the best interest of the Kingdom of Canada itself? We will never let another entity have control. And there are serious penalties for putting we the people in harm's way. And putting we the people in the Kingdom of Canada in jeopardy is considered treason. Sabotage. There's a very serious consequences. Anyway, with regarding to the med beds and the healing chambers, all of those computers and components will be manufactured in Canada and operated within Canada, no outsourcing. And each of our ministries will actually be self-sufficient. We will be using our own computer software. Nobody will have the ability to interfere with our ministry. Nobody will be able to interject their software into your program. There won't be any room for manipulation. Ministries can work cooperatively, work together, but will be very independent at the same time. So
all for the same goal of safety, security, and sovereignty
absolutely
in the Kingdom of Canada, and to be self-sufficient, so this does not happen again, where we can have a foreign entity sabotage us.
Yeah, absolutely. On July 19th, Her Majesty, Royal Majesty Queen Romana shared an article from Sputnik International stating that Russia was unaffected as mass IT outage hit companies worldwide. Russian infrastructure was not largely affected by the outage, it says. Russian airline Red Wing said they switched long ago to a domestic booking system, so the global Microsoft outage didn't affect them at all. That's what we're aiming for. That's where we're going.
So they had their own system then?
Yeah, they manufacture and operate their own systems. That's where we're going in the Kingdom of Canada. There's a huge opportunity for growth in that area in the kingdom. And that's our maxim, our fundamental principle in the Kingdom of Canada is safety, security, and sovereignty. And as Her Royal Majesty has said, whoever controls technology controls the world.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
I've also heard that the computer is only as smart as the person that's running it.
Absolutely. Definitely as smart as the person who programs it.
Yes.
Right.
So with that, I'll introduce Her Excellency Gail Magarrey, who is our Deputy Minister of International Trade, and I know that you would like to speak about this
Absolutely.
CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
And for the IMs that are hearing this for the first time, I'm sure that this is very informative and a well-learned experience.
Yes.
So with that,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'll let you go
Thank
ahead.
you, Your Excellency Wendy, Charlton, and Grand Rising to all the IMs in the Kingdom of Canada and all the IMs around the world, and Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Ditalo. And thank you, Joanna, for stating that technology, whoever does control technology controls the world. And this is an example of what went wrong. And we need to see who's going to be held responsible. So today I'm just going to talk about some of the implications that happened with CrowdStrike and some of the Queen Romana's royal decrees that are going to be applied, so this will never ever happen again. So the contract that was signed was the old system, first of all, and it had a contract with Microsoft, and it was a significant contract valued at $940 million over 7 years, which included continued support for various Microsoft services and products. And the corruption of that is, I encourage everybody to read Article 27.5, which is the USMCA, the US, Mexico, and Canada Agreement, that gives the right to investigate any corruption between these three countries. It's very important.
And that's Article 27.5.
27.5, yeah. So the outage affected various industries, including the airlines, banks, hospitals, emergency services, stock markets, government services, businesses, and several other industries, which myself and His Excellency Paul Derrick Jancke will be talking about. And so how many of the IMs during this outage lost their lives? Emergency services were down. If you were in a car accident, you could not reach emergency services. So how many lives were lost? They're not going to report any lives that were taken on mainstream media. The emergency services were delayed by hours. So how many people also, even in minor car accidents, had to suffer the pain while they were waiting for the paramedics to arrive?
Well, there is such a thing called the golden hour,
Mhm.
where if you don't
Exactly.
get
Immediate care.
immediate care within the hour,
Yep.
it's very detrimental.
Well, and also as well, if you were in the middle of surgery and things shut down, if you're, right then and there, how much time does it take to get the backup generator working? It takes that split second that somebody could have lost their life.
They can't reverse them that fast.
Exactly,
They can't
exactly.
reverse them that fast.
And none of that was reported.
None.
I know in the US lives were reported, but in the Kingdom of Canada, everything was just stated as the generators were our backup and everything ran smoothly, but we know otherwise with the old system.
Right.
So also as well, the airlines, the flights were grounded. People were backed up in the airport. They couldn't have access to their bank account, even if they wanted to book another flight, if they had the funds, they would have to pay a more expensive flight on a different airline if they needed to get to their destination. And a lot of students were grounded. So they don't have the funds to be able to rebook another flight, a more expensive airline, right?
So how long did that last?
Well, it lasted days, and we're going to get into some of the implication of it lasting days and how much that cost the Kingdom of Canada.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So, and how many IAMs who, when they got paid on that day, couldn't have access to their paychecks. So the first thing that most IAMs do when they get paid, they go to the grocery store, they stock up their groceries, and especially for people who have VIPs, small children, they want to stock up for the month if they're on government assistance, and they go to pay and their banks have shut down their account, or the system wasn't in place for them to buy their groceries. The person at the cashier, they don't know any different. They can't say, oh, well, we're going to let this slide. It's an error on the debit machine, the bank. No, you have to put all the groceries back. And these IMs, like mothers who have babies, the babies don't know. They're going to go unfed. And that is artificial famine and has serious consequences.
So I'd just like to maybe speak about that and also bring in the old system.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
all mothers breastfed their babies.
That's correct.
As they gradually changed over into the system, by 1975, mothers were not encouraged to breastfeed their children
That's correct.
and to give the children powdered formula. So that's by design. And so when you spoke about not being able to buy formula for the child. It was all by design. So you can see how it's all come up. If that child was nursed, then you wouldn't have to worry about buying that artificial powder for the child,
Exactly.
which doesn't really agree with them sometimes. So I just wanted to bring that in there so you could see about the old system and up into the new system.
Exactly. And they purposely put chemicals in the formula. Same with our vaccines, same with the baby formula. They started at birth. It is to put this fake formula into babies. They get them right away. So serious consequences for what has been happening. And that's the issues we're going to talk about. Also, too, is the businesses, the small, medium, doesn't matter, large businesses were affected by the software going down, IAMs not being able to make purchases. But what about the businesses? They rely on people purchasing every hour. They rely on that revenue. And so that's something that we're going to take a look at, because in 2023, Canada's GDP, which is the gross domestic product, was around $2.8 trillion. That's roughly $7.7 billion per day and 321 million per hour that the Kingdom of Canada is losing. And with the CrowdStrike lasting up to, say, even 3 days, some might have been longer with the airline delays, that adds up to 22.4 billion. So when you're looking at small and medium businesses, you're looking at every hour that they're losing money. This is huge. This could shut down some of the small businesses and medium business. So that's why we need to change things up. We need to hold whoever is responsible accountable. And as Deputy Minister of International Trade, all the trade contracts must be measured by two things. Is it good for we the people of the kingdom? And is it good for the Kingdom of Canada? And if the answer is no to A or B or both, sign not the contract. We're not going to sign any contracts that are harmful for the Kingdom of Canada. We have a monarch who won't put up with any of that cacrocracy. The Kingdom of Canada has the right, as both excellencies here have said, to be self-sufficient, self-reliable, and the interest of the Kingdom of Canada is Queen Romana Digital's #1 priority.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the safety and the security and the sovereignty of the Kingdom of Canada, I think, as Joanna, Her Excellency Joanna pointed out, is the #1, is Canada's #1. And if any harm or damage is done to the Kingdom of Canada, Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Digital will step in and null and void that contract. We will also be creating our own industries and companies so we can be self-sufficient and self-reliable in the Kingdom of Canada. And then in turn, it also creates more jobs for we the people, well, the IAMs of the Kingdom of Canada.
And pride in the Kingdom of Canada that you are self-sufficient.
Exactly. And I just want to read Queen Romana's royal decree dated on July 25th, 2024. In the Kingdom of Canada, notice to one is notice to all. Royal Decree 0000000236. And I encourage all IMs to go and read this royal decree. #1, the Kingdom of Canada's Armed Forces. #2, the Kingdom of Canada's Special Forces. #3, the Kingdom of Canada's Navy. #4, the Kingdom of Canada's Space Force. #5, the Kingdom of Canada's Special Ops. #6, the We the People of the Kingdom of Canada. #7, Bureau Ministry of Natural Resources of the Kingdom of Canada. #8, Bureau, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Canada. Number 9, Bureau, Ministry of National Treasury of the Kingdom of Canada. Number 10, Bureau, Ministry of Oil and Gas of the Kingdom of Canada. Number 11, Bureau, Ministry of National Defense of the Kingdom of Canada. Number 12, Global Allied Special Forces of the Kingdom of Canada. 13, Bureau, Ministry of Finance of the Kingdom of Canada. 14, the Supreme Court and Royal Court of the Kingdom of Canada under natural law. Urgent and urgent. Safety, security, and sovereignty of the Kingdom of Canada. State security and public order. I am Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Ditilo, Commander-in-Chief, President, National Indigenous Chief and Queen of the Kingdom of Canada, hereby issue this royal decree today, dated July 25th, 2024, to all Kingdom of Canada and Global Special Allied Forces and respective ministries to action forthwith this royal decree as specified herein under natural law. Number 1, forthwith. Prohibition of the criminalization of foreign nationals staging, participating in, preparing, planning, funding, supporting, and or promoting protests of any kinds in the Kingdom of Canada. A, foreign students. B, temporary workers. C, visitors. D, immigrants. E, undocumented migrants. F, refugees, asylum seekers. G, permanent resident. And H, expatriates for protesting against their home government. I, intercontinental, transnational organizations, special interest groups, foreign domiciled corporations, charity organizations, private and public, foundations, activist groups, etc., and their subsidiaries in the Kingdom of Canada. Her Majesty, I am Queen Romana of the Kingdom of Canada, 2024-07-25, 5:02 p.m. Forthwith, anyone from the group listed above taking part in any form or capacity in protests, formally or organized or not, in the Kingdom of Canada is and are immediately to be A, deported, B, bank account frozen and all its contents deposited into We the People's National Treasury, C, escorted to the nearest international airport in the Kingdom of Canada, D, issued an immediate exit documents with notation, quote, barred from re-entry, unquote, foreign terrorist economic saboteur, engaged in espionage, foreign interference, incites unrest, obstruct the enforcement of law and regulations, disrupt individual interests, cause harm or danger to others, violate their rights, disrupt traffic, and damage both public and private property, deliberately disrupting transportation, calling for and inciting the demonstrations and recording of disseminating audio video footage of the protest online, all of which are criminal offenses in the Kingdom of Canada. The acts constitute offenses against Kingdom of Canada's security and public order and jeopardize the Kingdom of Canada's interests. Violators of this royal decree shall be charged with economic sabotage, treason, high treason, applies to the Canadian nationals cooperating with such groups in any capacity, artificial creation of famine, financial fraud, corruption, bribery, espionage, terrorism, murder, and money laundering. This royal decree is effective immediately. There's also some other royal decrees that I encourage the IMs to have a look. And one of them would be 166 is the economic sabotage. 170, immediate cancellation and nullification of all funding agreements, contracts, subcontracts of all foreign missions, embassies, consulates of the Kingdom of Canada. 175, the national economy and trade, that we will be building processing plants in each of the territories and the provinces in the Kingdom of Canada, up until 5. This will help make us self-sufficient and self-reliable, creating more jobs. Royal Decree 212, fill and complete, head to tail, top to bottom, forensic audit of all cyber infrastructure, financial systems and structure, and information technology, IT, and including the commercial use of information technology of the Kingdom of Canada's assets. So these are some of the royal decrees put in place and that the IAMs need to be aware of, because even if you are an IAM in the Kingdom of Canada, and participate in any of this corruption, you will also be held responsible. And it's very serious. So this is why we're discussing the CrowdStrike with all the IAMs today, to say that it's not gone unnoticed, that Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Ditilo takes this very serious and will not put up with any of this cackerstocracy.
And it won't be tolerated.
Exactly.
So they can go to the website and look at all of the royal decrees under natural law, make themselves familiar with it. There's a decree that is put in place for everything, and it's all under natural law. So we really encourage all of the IMs, go read. There's 236
Decrees.
right now.
Yeah, I think so. And you know, people think with the CrowdStrike that, you know, it was just a power outage of computer software, but it affected, as you can see, more than just computers. It affected right down to the IM in their everyday life. So,
Yes.
and Queen Romana is making sure that not one IM is harmed in the Kingdom of Canada.
Correct. And that is artificial famine, creating it. If you can't go and buy your groceries so that you have food for yourself and your VIPs, that is artificial famine.
Well, and they don't even have access to they didn't have access to their own bank account, to their own funds that they went out and worked hard. And their time, they lost all that time, the waiting, the inconvenience of having to go to somebody. Hopefully they had a support person that could lend them money that they could go out and buy in the interim, waiting for their paychecks to be deposited.
And so putting in place so that you have access to food with the grocery stores that will be with the royal decree coming in, that it's free food at the grocery stores, which I think it's called Where We Go One, We Go All.
Groceries, yeah.
Yes, and I think that His Excellency Chris, I always forget how to Bauer, he will be speaking about food and water, and hopefully we're going to have him on with his ministry. So I know that he has been looking into the the grocery stores. And one thing I did discuss with him is I wanted to know about the Culligan water system. So that will be something really important for the IMs to start learning about the Ministry of Food and Water and how we've been poisoned all through the years.
Exactly, and how Queen Romana, Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Didolo, is finding out where all these natural springs are in the Kingdom of Canada to have access to good, healthy drinking water. When I was a kid, we had a natural spring, maybe about 2 kilometers out of town. We used to go and fill our water bottles up, and it was the best drinking water. And I went back there for a visit, and the well is locked up. Where you get the water flow, that they blocked the water flow so they can control all the water. So that's corruption, and that's going to not be taken lightly. There's serious consequences for what the old corrupt system has done to we the people.
So even with the
IMs.
water, our bodies are 80% water. So we need water to survive. You can survive without food for several days, but you cannot survive without water because you will dehydrate and expire.
Well, you can get your water from the foods and like the fruit that you're eating, but they're also contaminating. The old system is contaminating all the fruits and the vegetables and the foods with chemicals. And so that's another royal decree that will be taking care of that issue, is no GMO. And if it is GMO, it has to be labeled, and anything coming into the Kingdom of Canada, we will say no to that contract, because if it's not good for we the people, if it's not good for the Kingdom of Canada, then it gets turned away. Only good things in the Kingdom of Canada.
So with that said, with vegetables, if you don't have water, how do you water your garden? So that's another aspect of it. You have to be able to water to produce the vegetables.
Exactly. Well, we do have the rain, and Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana's cloud seeding that she's been for the fires and happening, taking care of that. We do have that, but we should have natural, fresh, flowing drinking water. And Canada, believe it or not, we have, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if Paul's looked into this, but we have an abundance of waterfalls, natural flowing waterfalls in the Kingdom of Canada. I think and even where I grew up in Hamilton, Ontario, it has the most waterfalls per capita in the world.
And also where there's oil, there's water. So there's an abundance of everything. So it's just been suppressed.
Yeah.
So we have to really get in with the security and the safety and the sovereignty and make our Kingdom of Canada self-sufficient.
That's right.
And the way to do that is being aware of what we have, what we can do, and under the great leadership of our Queen Romana to lead us, and with our ministries to work together and find solutions.
And not abdicate control over our own systems. It's important not to gloss over this crowd strike, because I personally don't believe it was any accident at all. You have to ask yourself, really, what's behind that? What does the name crowd strike mean?
Strike the crowd.
Right? And what role did Microsoft play in all of this? It's time to ask some serious questions. Ask for accountability, demand accountability. Her Royal Majesty is demanding accountability.
Yes, and every problem that comes along, you need to look at it and find a solution, because it doesn't come along just so that you gloss over it. Like you say, we need to look at it, find out what happened, what went wrong, what we can do, and never let it happen again.
And the solution is here in the kingdom. We are abundant in all resources to be self-sufficient, self-reliable. the IMs, we have some of the smartest IMs with technology to be able to create and our own companies so we don't have to outsource and ever have this problem again. Mhm.
I believe that. I do.
Mhm.
So, with that, did we want to go to His Excellency Paul Derrick Jancke and learn what he has to say about the natural resources and the crowd strike?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank Wendy, Her Excellency Wendy Charlton, for the great news of medbeds coming very soon and the natural resources of the Kingdom of Canada being used to produce those medbeds. So everybody's going to win on that one.
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah.
All IMs of the Kingdom of Canada will benefit from that great news. So greetings, I'm His Excellency Paul Derrick Jancke, Minister of Natural Resources, live with Her Excellency Wendy Charlton, Minister of Well, Her Excellency Gail Magarrey, and Her Excellency Joanna Rucci. Grand rising to all IMs in the Kingdom of Canada, the IMs around the world. VIPs are the children, Acting Chief of Staff and Press Secretary, my fellow cabinet ministers, and Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Didelot. First, we'd like to we have a very special message from Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Didelot. In the Kingdom of Canada, notice to one is notice to all. Begin calculating the damage to the Kingdom of Canada's economy resulting from the CrowdStrike World IT outage. So we came up with a few numbers from the GDP of the Kingdom of Canada and how this affected the Kingdom of Canada. So on GDP per year of the Kingdom of Canada is around $2.8 trillion per year. So we broke that down to find out how it affected all IMs of the Kingdom of Canada and how the IMs are all entitled to revenue from all these resources and how this affected all resources in the Kingdom of Canada. So at $2.8 trillion per year, we broke it down to $7.7 billion a day, $321 million per hour, and $5.3 million per minute. And then that's down to 88,000 per second. The Kingdom of Canada and every IM in the Kingdom of Canada had lost in revenue that we're all entitled to, because in Royal Decree 111, all provinces and territories in the Kingdom of Canada shall retain 99% of all revenues pertain and derived from resources of the Kingdom of Canada, sold, refined, manufactured, and produced in the Kingdom of Canada. And people may wonder, well, what does GDP really mean? Well, GDP comes from the products that we extract from our resources, we refine those, and then when we manufacture those, we sell them to IMs and around the world, and that creates our gross domestic product of the country, of the Kingdom of Canada. So, pertaining to the CrowdStrike outage, as the Natural Resources Minister, the CrowdStrike apology is not enough that they must be held criminally and financially responsible for the damage caused to the economy in the Kingdom of Canada, and so it is. So as the Minister of Natural Resources, we have to come up with fines and policies for any other business or company that was to cause harm to we, the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada. So fines for Microsoft, we're thinking of 50% of lost revenue that would, for all lost revenue, and that's going to be like, I think we calculated it's 88,000 per second that the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada had lost. So we'll probably base it, create a policy in the future that would be like 50% of all revenue lost per second, because some businesses were only out for an hour or two, and most, I think it was up to 3 days that the outage created havoc for the Kingdom of Canada.
Well, that makes total sense, because when you break it down into the smallest denomination, you can calculate ahead, because like you say, some were days, some were hours, some were minutes.
Right.
So I like that idea of the 50% of the 88,000 per second. So that's what, 44,000
44,000 a second
for half a second, or
For a
50%?
yeah,
Yes,
50%
okay, yes.
of revenue loss. So that'll be the revenue, not just of the day, that'll be the revenue that we create for the whole GDP of the year of the Kingdom of Canada.
Wow.
So
When you really stop and you
that's
think
huge.
44,000
Per
which
second.
per second that they have to return back to all of the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada, that's a lot of revenue.
oh, that is, because it not just the natural resources, it caused havoc to, and not just for those 3 days. That it'll carry on for weeks and months after to recoup those losses, because there's minerals, oil, stuff that, and forestry products and farming products that won't be delivered in a couple of weeks because of those 3 days of shutdowns. So it's not just a 3 day,
It's compounded,
it's compounded.
Yes.
Weeks, months carried on.
because you never get back what you really lost in the 3 days, because you're always trying to gain it forward.
Right. Yes, because the mining contributes to a large number of the GDP industrial sector of the Kingdom of Canada. So that'll
And
have a
that's all
ripple effect for
computerized,
all,
right?
yeah, all computerized. The oil and gas industry was affected. The farming industry was affected.
Everything is computerized. Even those big tractors, they roll around on the fields. They got computers in there. How much fertilizer they put out, how much they water they need. It's all.
Look at the traffic lights. They're computerized. How many accidents occurred during this time with the traffic lights alone going down?
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
But everything is computerized, and
Mhm.
and yes, we interjected there, so we'll let you go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, and with the natural resources and with the new agreement of the USMCA of any company that's doing corrupt business with any company, they are going to be entitled to be investigated by each of these three countries. So doing business with any corrupt other businesses to benefit yourself in the Kingdom of Canada won't be tolerated either.
And we'll also have our audits done in the Kingdom of Canada. So, trying to get away with this should never happen again, and we can be self-sufficient.
Exactly.
Safety, security, and sovereignty.
Exactly. So urgent and important in the Kingdom of Canada, Royal Decree 230. Artificial famine creation, economic sabotage, food supply chain sabotage, and prevention and eradication. To the attention of the Kingdom of Canada Armed Forces, the Kingdom of Canada Special Forces and Allied Forces, the Kingdom of Canada Space Force, we the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada, Bureau of National Treasury of the Kingdom of Canada, Light Worker Starseed, the Kingdom of Canada courts under natural law, the Bureau of of the Kingdom of Canada, Bureau of Agriculture of the Kingdom of Canada, and Bureau of Farming of the Kingdom of Canada. I am Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Dilo, Commander-in-Chief, President, National Indigenous Chief, and Queen of the Kingdom of Canada hereby issue the royal decree effective immediately dated today, July 2nd, 2024, as follows under natural law. Forthwith, all grocery stores in the Kingdom of Canada are to have both automated and manual ordering, inventory system, warehouse system, and point of sale system. Number 2, forthwith, all grocery stores in the Kingdom of Canada are to have manual point of sale systems in place and in working condition, ready for deployment and operation in the grocery store in case of automated systems malfunctions. Number 3, forthwith, all grocery stores in the Kingdom of Canada are to have point of sales clerks, grocery clerks, attendants, competent and efficient in math to process quickly, efficiently, large volumes of grocery sales manually. Number 4, forthwith, all grocery stores in the Kingdom of Canada are to have inventory warehouse personnel competent and efficient in math to process quickly and efficiently large volume of grocery supply inventory delivery manually. Number 5, forthwith, all grocery stores who are charging their customers for produce, goods, products must have in-store cash, petty cash, to provide change to their customers who are paying with cash, whether the automated systems in place are functioning or not. All grocery stores and delivery trucks are to be all fueled using gasoline, diesel, hydrogen, nuclear power, or fusion technology. Violators of the royal decree shall be charged with economic sabotage, treason, artificial creation of famine, financial fraud, corruption, and money laundering. This royal decree is effective immediately, and so it is.
And what number is that one again?
Numbers Royal Decree number 230.
230. So we can go to the website, thekingdomofcanada.ca, look at all of these royal decrees and educate ourselves, educate our loved ones, educate our VIPs. There is something there for everything that has happened. So I'll let you continue on.
Yeah, and Royal Decree 223. All live Homo sapiens, living, breathing, blood flowing, Canadian national, baby girl, baby boy, lady, man, born on this planet, Earth, are to be known as Indigenous, forthwith entitled to equal share to all natural resources found in the Kingdom of Canada. Exceptions are robots, artificial intelligence, mechanical, and clones. And like Her Royal Majesty Queen Joanna has mentioned before, that we all are indigenous to this planet, Earth, that before we arrived, the air was here, the water was here, all the natural resources were here, all for us to share.
And to live
equally,
abundantly.
and to live abundantly.
It's not just, and some of us grew up thinking that Indigenous meant
Well, the old system had us
the
believing
old
that the
system.
Indigenous were
the old system.
right.
And they had all the perks because they all had their cards and they didn't have to pay income tax and they got special recognition. So with finding this out at this point in time, what was that royal decree about Indigenous again?
It was Royal Decree 223.
So I think all the IMs should read that one and make yourself familiar that you are Indigenous. We all are Indigenous. Everything belongs to us. And that's why we need safety, security, sovereignty, and we need to make the Kingdom of Canada self-sufficient because we need to care for our planet, and we need to look after each and every one of us and love each other, and we have abundance.
That's right. His Excellency Paul Jancke brought up a really good item in that royal decree is by having manual, when you go to the cash, if the computer's not working, that the cashier has to be able to do the math and add up, because even if I was thinking of people who were using debit cards, but even if IMs had money, cash at hand, we're in the grocery store and you get up to the cashier and you've got this cart full of groceries, is that cashier going to be able to tally the total in their head? They should have.
Well, stop and think about some of the drive-throughs you go through when you
Yeah.
give them a $5 bill and a quarter because your bill is $4.25 and they cannot figure it out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be an important part of the homeschooling to make sure the
No,
children,
Yes. No
Sure.
hurt.
get to count how many apples and bananas they had each day to eat and help them with their math.
Well, I can't give you any change because you gave me too much money, you know, and it's and
It's
you-
truly an
it's
indictment of the education.
true everywhere you go. It is true. But another thing I want to mention about the manual is when we have the grocery stores where we go in and we get our free food, the worker there needs to know how to manually
Mhm.
tally that to come off of the Kingdom of Canada's expense.
Mhm.
So they need to know how that works.
Exactly.
And also, if we went in and we had a cashier there that knew, what about the old system when we could write a check?
Yeah.
Right?
Because you had the
Exactly.
money
Right,
in the
yeah.
bank
Mhm.
and you could write a check.
Mhm.
So that would work, but,
Or an IOU.
or an IOU, yes.
We did that as children, IOU at even the corner store, and they would accept it until payday.
That's right.
That's right.
So that was very important, that having the cashier able to make change and to run a manual.
And it applies more than just grocery stores. Like every small business, medium business, independent business should be able to do this.
Mhm.
I know in the hospitals, the old, I don't know what we're going to be calling the new healthcare well centers, but they have to do notes by hand. When the machines go down, everything is manual. You do the old school way and you write your handwritten notes. I mean, when the computers came in, it was like, oh, this is great, but
Just
you
walk around with
always
your
should
computer
have a
and punch
backup.
it in.
And that is included with everything, not just the grocery stores, but all businesses anywhere around the world, right? And Canada.
And that is correct. And another thing that, you could think about and work on is, what about the fuel stations? They need the computerized to pump it. So there needs to be a different system put in place for a manual pump.
Mhm.
Go back to the digital counters. We're familiar with those. Remember the little thing flying around as your fuel came out? It's going to be interesting. The Minister of Education will perhaps go back to teaching handwritten ledgers and things like that. Go back to basics, I think, is what we're getting at. Go back to integrity, where you can write an IOU and, in
And
good
yes,
faith.
and go back to reputation, where
Right.
your reputation preceded you when you were selling something or providing a service, that they knew, well, if I went to Her Excellency Joanna, she would do that job for me and I could count on her to do it. And you and myself, where our reputation was, we provided a service and we did it with integrity.
Exactly.
And let's not forget Her Majesty's decree about barter.
Oh,
Barter
yes.
is a fair trade.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
we'll be going back to that system too. I need to buy some apples from you, but I don't have money, but you need some cucumbers and I have lots of those. So
And
we
I'll
can
take a
trade.
few. So everything will be cucumbers and apples and oranges and whatever.
Bananas.
So it really makes it interesting that I can provide a service that you need and you can provide a service that someone else could use.
Right. What a wonderful way to live.
And it's
And
legal
share it.
in the Kingdom of Canada.
It is legal tender.
Yes,
Yes, it
yes.
is.
Mhm. That's right.
So these are all in royal decrees, so
Mhm.
everyone can go to the site and they can look them up, and it will take a while to read them, like with my royal decree that I read, that 235 of the med beds, it takes a little bit of to read it, but that also brings back that we need to teach our VIPs how to read
Mhm.
How to comprehend.
and how to comprehend, yes,
Mhm.
and not just read words and
Exactly.
yes.
Mhm.
But there's all different kinds of learning, and I once everyone is entered into the med bed and things are fixed up, they should be able to read. Like I know dyslexic children, they see letters different and they jump around, but that is by design, and all of
Maybe Her Excellency Joanna or Wendy, what are some of the things that people, the IMs, can expect from the med beds? Like, will it rejuvenate their cells? Will they come out younger? Will they grow a limb? You know?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about really how those med beds work. If you think of your body in terms of a group of cells, and let's just say they're stones in a jar. If you shake that stones in a jar, they'll arrange themselves in an efficient manner. And that's kind of what the med beds do with frequency, cymatic frequency, is just that. It jostles cells so that they arrange themselves in the pattern, the original pattern. So you essentially everything gets restored to its original state.
so
All
phantom feeling.
phantom
No.
feeling when you, yes, I think we talked about that the other day when somebody is missing a limb. Many of us are familiar with people who can actually feel itching or pain in that phantom limb. And that's because those nerve endings are still there. And those nerve endings can be restored when,
Wow.
with that jostling of your cells, that those nerve endings will go all the way down to the restored limb.
Because everything is energy and it's got an imprint, right?
Right, and it's important to note there's people that just can't comprehend how is that even possible to regrow something. There are many organisms on this planet that already can regrow. Think about an octopus. If an octopus loses part of its arm
Tentacle.
or tentacles, they can regrow them. There are many organisms on this planet that already do that. So it's not too far-fetched. We've just been conditioned to believe that, you know, this is our lot in life and we have to accept it. That's absolutely not true. You can think way outside that box. And those med beds will restore even damage done. We were talking about injecting babies right from birth. They're after your babies. And those injections, I'm not going to call them vaccinations because vaccination,
That's true.
we think in terms of a benefit to the individual. That's not what's going on there.
No.
And those med beds will actually restore that baby to its original form. And things like eyesight, hearing,
Teeth.
teeth, everything will be restored to its original form.
That's right.
So,
And we've been programmed up through the years that we have to see it, then we believe it,
Yes,
but
true.
it's actually opposite.
exactly.
we see it, then we believe it. And that takes time to actually do some of those manifestations yourself, but everything is practice and everything is a learning experience, which I'm sure that we're all going to be experiencing with the med beds coming. It's an exciting time. I'm excited. And maybe we could recap a little bit on whatever we've covered today and add a bit more to it.
Right. Well, particularly, I don't want to let go of this CrowdStrike thing because it just was so immense. His Excellency, Paul Jancke, just gave us some numbers there that's staggering. When you think of in terms of the impact that had, not only on our economy, but on individuals. You know, Her Excellency Gail was talking about maybe you didn't get your security check and now you can't buy your formula for your baby and all of that kind of thing. Your Excellency Wendy, you mentioned the farmers, their equipment. This is peak harvest time. What a time
To not
attack
have your
our farmers.
computer.
Exactly.
That
So
means
this-
crops.
So there is some nefarious intention behind this whole thing. It's interesting, you know, I spoke about Russia being so self-sufficient that their airlines weren't even affected. And their booking software, I believe it's called Kaspersky, they offered that to other countries around the world and many utilized it. The United States banned it.
Wow.
So where are we
Oh.
going with this?
Yeah,
You know?
where are we going? That's right. So I wanted to mention another thing about His Excellency Paul was talking about $88,000 a minute.
Second.
Second. Do we all realize that the average Canadian national family income for the whole year is 70,000? Now let that sink in.
How much?
Right.
70,000
Wow.
per family. So that can show you how much actually was lost.
How much they've taken away from the IMs,
Yeah.
but will be returned.
Yeah. So as the Natural Resources Minister, my job is to get the best value of our resources for every IM. Get it on, like on Royal Decree 111, where 99% of our revenue from all our natural resources go to each IM in the Kingdom of Canada. So with Microsoft doing a test on the whole Kingdom of Canada and the world, could have did a smaller test, maybe just on one or two companies, to see if their IT would work there instead of shutting down the whole Kingdom of Canada and the world. So, you know, as the Minister of Natural Resources, we'll have to come up with a policy for any company to do that, to be reprimanded, because it cuts into the GDP of the Kingdom of Canada and the resources and the revenue for each individual or each IM of the Kingdom of Canada. So, like I said, you know, we're looking at maybe 50% of lost revenue for the GDP of the Kingdom of Canada per second, because some outages, places are only out for an hour, some are 3 days, some are day. So we'll do it per second and make people think twice about testing something on the whole country instead of just a couple companies to lessen the.
Yeah, so everything can be calculated on that increment, which is great. And then when they enter the natural law courts,
That's right.
what's the end result there? Is
Yeah.
it treason?
Yep, they'll have to go to court after the Kingdom of Canada Natural Resources sets their penalties on lost revenues from their
And corruption.
corruption.
That's right. And it just goes to show you how important it is that we as a country under Queen Romana Ditalo, to be self-sufficient in all areas and we don't need to outsource when we can produce it right here in the Kingdom of Canada.
Absolutely. And then we will not be able to be held hostage by someone
Exactly.
foreign.
Mhm.
So with that, I think that
Yep.
all the ministries work together. We all come up with solutions. All of these things happen so that we can see what actually could happen, how we could fix it, and work together, which we are working together as a team.
And this won't just slide under this. You
No.
can't just gloss over this.
No,
That Her Royal Majesty is not going to put up with it, and there's going to be serious consequences for whoever caused the kakistocracy and moving forward, I think, on any corruption in the Kingdom of Canada.
correct. Because once you let them get away with it and slide it under the rug, they just do it again because they learn how to do patterns.
That's how they
And
got away
everything's
with
a
it.
pattern.
Yeah.
That's how they got away with it.
Yeah.
Well, with every lesson, with every struggle, there's a lesson. And we have learned that we can be self-sufficient. Canada is rich in every conceivable resource. There is
Everything.
absolutely no reason why we can't have build our own computers and all of our own computer components and operating systems within the Kingdom of Canada, leaving no room whatsoever for international interference and sabotage.
Well, I'm sure if the IMs all remember when His Excellency Paul talked about the natural resources a week or so ago and went province by province to show the IMs what they had, that many were shocked.
It's not just water and oil. There's
Not just water and
there's
oil,
Minerals.
almost every type of mineral in every province. So,
mineral and metal and precious jewels.
yeah.
Everything is a
And
natural
there's
resource.
still exploring and finding stuff that we didn't know we have yet. So
That's correct. So
It's kind of unfortunate. Some of the provinces who were led to believe that they were so deficient and their only resource was maybe fish or something.
our potatoes like PEI.
Potatoes
Fish and
like
potatoes.
PEI.
When in reality, those are some of the richest provinces.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Yeah,
criminal
there's
what
just
has
as much
happened
oil
to
in the
the
east, as much
IMs.
oil in the east as there is in the west.
Exactly.
So we're gaining knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I hope from these sessions, that we bring knowledge to the IMs. They can come and visit the sites, the natural law, the royal decrees. I welcome all comments. I'm sure each and every one of you welcome the comments.
Yes.
And to be able to sit and have this open conversation, to say exactly what we need to say about this, has been a really good experience for me. And I appreciate all three of you being here with me today. So any closing comments on what we can do better?
Sure. Let's take advantage of our national resources and look at this as an opportunity for advancement and employment in industries that IMs love to work in.
That's right, and have something to look forward to with the med beds being available to all IMs, and what that will do with curing people and letting them see how, how they've been suppressed and what these, companies and pharmaceutical companies and physicians have done, and what we are as an original Homo sapien. Looking forward to that.
And, a healthy, happy IM will produce healthy, happy products. When you feel good, you work well. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And also, and with the CrowdStrike, this is, a message to all IMs is we're not going to put up with it, and there will be consequences. So people will think twice, because it'll be nipped in the bud.
Yes,
And
right.
there will be no second chances. There is no, oh, I made a mistake. Nope.
Nope.
You will be held responsible on first corruption that is investigated and held accountable. So thank you, Her Royal Majesty Queen Romana Ditilo, for putting out these royal decrees, and so that we can have accountability and to be able to be, self-reliant and be able to be abundant in the Kingdom of Canada and not worry about corruption anymore.
That's right. And what about you?
Getting policies in place that if it interrupts our production of our natural resources for all IMs of the Kingdom of Canada to receive their revenues, we need to create policies to reprimand these companies that try to sabotage and to create famine in the Kingdom of Canada.
And erase corruption.
Yeah.
And move forward
Because-
with safety, security, and sovereignty, and we will work forward to be self-sufficient.
Exactly. Because we're all indigenous to this planet, and all the resources were here before us to share and to
Benefit from
benefit.
Benefit.
From, yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, I say, we are alive.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
We are alive. So I'll say to all the IMs of the Kingdom of Canada and around the world, thank you for your time for this most informative session. We look forward to comments, and we look forward to being with you weekly, and we hope that these sessions bring information and clarity, and most of all, safety, security, sovereignty, and the Kingdom of Canada will be self-sufficient. So with that, I say peace, love, and prosperity. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
And so it is.
So it is.